guy who came from Cleveland.
Okay, well, you ain't from Cleveland, though.
Cleveland was the best location in the nation.
You know, we from Cleveland, Ohio.
Glenville community on the east side of Cleveland.
Cleveland was called the best location in the nation.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the After Effect Podcast. I'm your host, LeBron Steffen, but you can call me LBZ, L Boogie, Big Brian, B Ron, LB, Ronnie. The choice is yours. Welcome to episode 54. Today, this is a current news episode, no guests. I believe I've only had one current news episode, which was like episode 19. So my goal is to make sure I at least get in one of these per every 10 episodes, or maybe even two, just to talk about the current events of the world at that current time. I believe, sometimes we miss some topics when I'm interviewing guests because we're mainly talking about their athletic journey. We do have like a current event segment at the beginning, but some very important topics are just being missed. So as we continue to grow the podcast on YouTube and all audio platforms, that's one of my goals. So yeah, I'll just like dive right into it. First, we got the sudden death of 19-year-old Terrence Clark. May he rest in peace. He played 1 year at the University of Kentucky. Obviously, was a standout in the mainstay. Had a great season last season. He was actually preparing for the 2021 NBA draft, which I think is set to transpire. It's typically in June. I think it got pushed back a little bit because of the season. Apparently, he was in LA, just training, and had a horrific car accident that ended up taking his life. He also was a Clutch Sports Group client. Man, shout out to my guys at Clutch, Brandon Kavanaugh and Rich Paul. Well, Brandon Kavanaugh, I know Brandon Kavanaugh, I don't know Rich Paul, but shout out to those guys, Cleveland guys, so I'm always supporting them. But yeah, it's just tragic what happened. I read an article that John Calipari, Kentucky's head coach, was actually flying out to LA to be with his mother, Terrence's mother, and his brother as they continue to grieve. So super just hurt for him, right? He was just getting started, already experienced stardom at Kentucky, and was about to reach and touch, his dream of playing the highest level of basketball, which was the NBA. So hopefully, I'm really, really hoping and praying that they are able to breathe, and all the family are. Is definitely in my prayers. So next, we have the George Floyd decision. May he continue to rest peacefully. Just this week, the cop who actually killed George Floyd, Derek Chauvin, was the decision was made. He was convicted of murder, and they are saying that the sentencing will take place on June 16th. And again, not to be cliche, but I've seen on Twitter and a bunch of social media platforms, accountability, right? And as a Black man, like being Black my entire life, I mean, I couldn't spew it out any better than that, right? Accountability. I mean, we've seen so many white cops kill us, and whereas something else could have been done to eliminate this situation or get both parties out of the situation instead of one dying, right? So yeah, accountability, right? I mean, could you imagine, for any of my Black listeners, could you imagine if that decision, if it was made that he wasn't convicted of murder? Well, would there have been more looting? Would there have been more riots, right? But it's just accountability. I mean, I'm not a cop, obviously, but I do have a few cop friends, and you're trained the right way. Sometimes you have to make quick decisions in the heat of the moment, but that's when your training comes in there, right? And the way that George Floyd died with a knee in his neck, it wasn't a gunshot wound, knee in his neck for I think a little bit over 8 minutes. I remember when I saw that video, I asked my sister and my dad. I remember asking like during that period of time, during those 8 minutes, during that 8 minutes of time, did Derek ever get that thought in his head to loosen the load on his knee, or oh by golly, maybe take his knee off of his neck or lower his knee closer, closer to right here, closer to his collarbone or something like that, just so his airway was open, so he would be able to breathe, right? So that as a black man, that's what was really hard for me. It's just like, okay, you kept that pressure, you kept that same energy for that long. Nothing ever came in your head to say, okay, let me take a little pressure off. Maybe he's saying he can't breathe. Let me take a little pressure off, right? And then when you see the picture of his face when he has it, if we could show it right now, his Derek Chauvin's face, when he had his knee on his neck, and like everyone has been preluding to or eluding to, just no remorse, just let me be honest, just don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like he feels like he can do this and he's not going to get in trouble. That's what that face tells me, right? So definitely happy that decision was made. Accountability, and again, we're still walking on eggshells because the sentencing is June 16th. Now, what is he going to get sentenced for killing an unarmed black man, right? So, we got about 2 more months until that comes up. So, hoping that the sentencing is fair, and that George Floyd's family can continue to grieve and ultimately heal from this entire situation. So that's that on that. Next up, DMX's death. RIP to a legend. May the legend rest peacefully. I grew up on DMX's music. My father used to play DMX and the Lox and Jay-Z and Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. and Bone Thugs and Harmony all day, every day, in our home in Cleveland growing up. So when I was growing up in the 90s, I knew all his songs, I knew all his lyrics. I could do the bar, row, row, row. You know what I'm saying? I could do the bark and all those things, man. He definitely influenced me just to, kind of be hard, be tough, attack any and everything that I was doing with ferocity at that time. As a young kid, it was, obviously about my schooling, my grades, and football and basketball as I started to play sports. So, definitely sad to see him go at such a young age. I think he was only 51 or 52. My father is 51, so that definitely put some things in perspective for me. Making sure I talk to him more often and making sure he's making the right health decisions. He's already had a few health scares in the past, like 5 to 8 years. So RIP to a legend. I hope that his family can continue to rest, to heal and to grieve from his untimely death. Right. So so next up, another shooting. There was a shooting in Columbus, Ohio, about a week ago, where a 16-year-old Ma'Khia Bryant was shot by a police officer in the Columbus, Ohio area, Nicholas Reardon. And so, first off, RP to Ma'Khia because she didn't make it. But this one kind of hit really, really home for me because my twin sister, Brianna, she lives in Columbus, Ohio. So of course I immediately called her and said, "Hey, are you good?" That shooting that transpired or happened, was that close to you? She was like, it wasn't that far. It was about 10 minutes. It was 10 minutes from where she lives. So it definitely hit home. And I want to be completely honest and just tell my opinion. That this one was a hard one to decipher through, right? Because after watching the body cam video, the officer Nicholas Reardon, he had 6 seconds to make a decision. From the time that he stepped foot out of his vehicle when he drove onto the scene to him shooting Ma'Khia, I counted several times. It was 6 seconds, right? And it's hard to delve into exactly what happened because Ma'Khia had a weapon, had a knife, and it looked like she was attempting to stab someone. If we could show the picture that just released on CNN yesterday, you can see she has something in her hand and it's like this, and it looks like she might either because I couldn't tell if she tried to stab the person when they fell on the ground initially when he first got out the truck, or when she got up and backed up, was she about to try to stab the other girl who was standing right next to her? To be honest, I watched it several times. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell which she was trying to do. I thought initially that she was trying to stab one of the girls who she wrestled with, because I guess her cousin or the guy came on camera and like tried to kick the girl like in the head or something like that. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, so they trying to get her. So when I saw her get up and back up towards the car when the cop got out with the gun, I'm thinking like, okay, she with her family. Maybe he didn't. At first I felt like he didn't have to shoot her because, like, okay, she backing up from the situation, even though yes, she had a knife in her hand, and that at that point, since she has a deadly weapon, maybe you could use the taser. But then once I watched it again, I was like, okay, was she about to stab the other girl that she was standing right next to? Right? Like I honestly could not tell. So, and then after seeing that image that we just showed on the screen, it's like, man, what like it definitely it's hard to assess in my opinion. And I love to be honest and tell my true opinions about things. And I really honestly and truly could not tell. Like no cap. I couldn't tell. So again, may she, rest peacefully, and her family continue is able to grieve over this wild and crazy time right now. But that's my take on that one. I honestly couldn't tell, right? So lastly, but surely not least, obviously this is a sports podcast, so I wanted to talk about the current state of the NBA. Obviously, I'm a LeBron James fan, you know what I'm saying? For obvious reasons, we share the same first name. But just really, really loving what I've seen from the Lakers so far. I think they are attacking AD's and LeBron's injuries in the correct way. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like LeBron James is good. Like, I feel like he could have came back like last week. I know they're taking it easy, 36 years old. But I'm hoping that he can get back to at least get 8 to 10 games with the guys before the playoffs start, instead of just maybe only having 3 or 4, right? To get that camaraderie, to learn how guys want the ball, to learn how Andre Drummond wants the ball in the block, to learn his movements, how he runs the floor, things of that nature. But I think if they can get that ball rolling before the playoffs, they can roll in the playoffs, man. And I got to say, if Bronny gets his 5th championship this year, y'all gonna have to stop the comparison. First off, we shouldn't even be comparing LeBron James to Michael Jordan. They're not the same player. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are score first kinds of players. Like they are scores. Everything else secondary. LeBron is a full all-around basketball player. You talking about who's the best all-around basketball player? LeBron has both of them beat by a mile. I mean, RIP to Bean, RIP to a legend. Like, I always looked up to Kobe, but LeBron's rebound and assist numbers and how he affects the game, it's comparable to none. So if you really know basketball, you would know that we shouldn't even be comparing him to Kobe or to Michael, because they're not the same player. But I said all that to say, if he gets this 5th one and has to go against the Nets and beats them in the finals, we gotta stop that, because if he get 5, he might get 6. You know what I mean? So so I'm excited for the playoffs. I believe they start today is April 24th. I believe they start soon in May. So I'm excited for that. Also excited for the NFL draft next week to see obviously where I think it's about I think it's like 7 to 10 draft prospects coming out of my alma mater, University of Iowa. We always got guys coming out, so excited to see where those guys go. Excited to see who the hometown team takes, the Cleveland Browns, and the NFL draft is in Cleveland, right? I'm actually flying back home next weekend to Cleveland, so that'll be super exciting and super exciting time for the city. As we just try to move towards more positivity for Cleveland, right? The area that I'm from is always just a lot of killing and a lot of deaths going on and things of that nature. So super happy that Cleveland, Ohio is able to host the NFL draft this year. Excited for, mini camps to start up for all my NFL friends, man. Happy for those guys. Really happy for my boy Mike Daniels, who signed another 1-year deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. This is year 10 for him. He's an After Effect podcast alumni, 2-time alumni to be exact. So super excited and happy for him that he gets to hit that milestone of 10 years in the league. Right now, I don't think Adrian Claiborne, he hasn't signed with anyone yet, but I'm sure he will. He's going into year 11. Mike, my boy Micah Hyde, safety for the Buffalo Bills, he got an extension. It looked like it might be a party in Houston. I'm gonna definitely have to get to a game. Shout out to my boy Christian Kirksey. He just signed a deal in Houston. I think they signed Desmond King. They signed Jaleel Johnson. So it's quite a good group of Hawkeye guys there. I'm definitely gonna have to try to go to a game to support those guys. So happy for those guys. I'm not gonna lie, I ain't gonna hold you. I did want to see Kirksey do another year in with the Packers. I talked to him like a week or two after they lost to the Bucks in the NFC Championship. He was just trying to give me an inside look on what it was like to play against Tom Brady in the NFC Championship, right? In year one in Green Bay, he had spent his first 7 years, in Cleveland, never making the playoffs. So, he couldn't really even put it into words, right? It was a great experience and for him, and super excited to try to get him on the show as well. He's been busy. He has a very young daughter and still recovering from off-season surgery that he had to have after the season. So hoping to get him on within the next month or two, before the season picks back up, to hear the after effect of his 9-year career thus far in the NFL, and hear about some things that he likes to do outside of sports. We in college, we would vibe on like dancing and music and things of that nature. I know he plays the drums, very talented guy. So excited to get all three of those guys actually on the show, Jaleel Johnson and Desmond King, whenever they have time. Obviously, their schedules can get hectic. So yeah, guys, that was all I had for current news for episode 54. Please hold me accountable. I want to do at least 2 of these every 10 episodes to get my opinion out there, and hopefully inspire others to tell me their opinion, get some more comments, get some more likes, things of that nature, as we just continue to move in this authenticity through our podcast show and figuring it out. So yeah, that's all I had. So until the next time, peace.
Subscribe to LeBron Daniel TV, but you already knew that, where we dig deep and find our hustle, and every single day we are better than yesterday. Subscribe.